Hello friends, I'm David Pasqualone and we are here with Gene the Velvet Hammer Valentino. I'm going to brag on Gene for a second so you just get a little bit of credibility. Gene is one of the founding fathers of Cellular One in the West Coast. He is one of the pioneers of the payment system industry. He's currently involved in organizations like AGT and Verijet and is invested in hotel chains. This is a guy who's been there, done that. He took his wealth and his success and he poured it into the community. He was a county commissioner. My kids were benefited to play soccer on the fields that he saw the vision for and had built. And again, I'm not saying this to give him a fat head, but as you can see, this is a piece of his backyard. We're in the Gulf of Mexico. He's got an airplane hangar, a man cave. We will give you a tour another day. But today, what we're going to talk about is our government has a lot of issues. And my personal stance, if you listen to the podcast, it's not about who I am or am not voting for. It's right or wrong, good or bad, makes sense or is complete crazy. So the other day, Gene, I had someone who's a Biden supporter say, look at what a great job Biden's doing. The stock market's never been higher. And my head almost spun off my shoulders. So in your Velvet Hammer, like completely calm way, can you please explain to our audience how the president can be doing so abysmal in every area, yet the stock market's still booming?
So you know who that person sounds like?
I don't want to say that on camera for liability reasons.
That person sounds like someone who said, my brother's got pre-stage 1 cancer, so I'm not really too worried. You know, here in America, our medical system will react to stage 4 cancer rather quickly. Out comes the Chinese fire drill. Everyone's running around doing leaps and bounds to try to solve the person's medical issue. But the real solving of the problem occurs, David, when we focus on it before it's a crisis. So that person who said that is woked into thinking that we're still okay under some sort of socialistic totalitarian rule because the big hand of government is taking care of things for us. This is where we are in our economy right now. The ripple effect of the supply chain network is about to be realized. We must act immediately as if we have stage 4 cancer and not live in the euphoria as if we're not. And that's the problem, Dave. So the person or people thinking that way have not taken into account all of the ripple effects in an economy. Keynesian economics addresses this directly. It's the supply, the price is driven by supply. Is there no small coincidence the price per barrel is going up to something likely to be over $100 a barrel very shortly? Why? Because we lack oil? No, because government stopped the production and drilling for oil that we already have. Oh, let's import it from our enemies, China and Russia and Venezuela, communistic states. It makes me wonder, if we're so stupid as to think that that is the solution, what do those people have on the leaders of our country that we don't know about? I mean, what other motivation would there be, Dave?
And the way I see it is people are selling our country out for personal gain and to become an elitist, Marxist, communist society. Two different things, but very closely related. But going back to the question, how can the economy be booming in the sense of the stock market when inflation's out of control, meat, dairy, every commodity we're going to buy at the grocery store is not only inflated crazy high, but you're starting to see, today is January 14th, am I correct? Forgive me if I'm wrong, I might be a day or two off. But today's January 14th and we're starting to see shelves of stores out.
Okay, I was referring to the analogy in the medical of cancer, stage 1 versus stage 4. So now applying it to the economic situation today. We have a situation where supply of goods and services are coming from certain resources. Some of it was China and other countries from around the world. Those ships are sitting out in the Pacific right now, anchored, waiting to get into port. We have reduced our supply because of import tariffs, because of the lack of resources of labor and union rules and special regulation that handcuff us to the processing of those goods and services through the distribution transportation system that then goes out nationwide, rail and truck. It's being handcuffed because of rules and regulations that never existed under the Trump administration. They're now being imposed as a way of curtailing the availability, which does nothing but increase price. Mm-hmm. If I reduce supply, I've increased the value of it. Therefore, the price goes up.
Harming every American.
And that's the root cause of inflation. Now, the government steps in and says to the person, well, I haven't seen any problems yet. Well, already we're up close to 10% on inflation and increase in prices over just a year ago. Gasoline since a year ago is up 50%. Other energy sources are up over 40%. Yet food on the shelf, the steak on the counter that we buy, is up over 20%. That didn't just happen. It happened because availability became less. It became more scarce. And as a consequence, that dollar value goes up. While that's happening, the government says, oh, don't worry, you're still going to have the same quality of life because we're going to print more money. If I print more money, that dollar really has a value today of 90 cents. It was $1 last week, but because I'm feeding more dollars into the pool, same thing called scarcity. Well, now I'm making dollars more abundant. If I'm making dollars more abundant, the value per dollar goes down. That's inflation. Inflation drives up the number of dollars needed to buy the same item. Ergo, the fuel prices now close to $5 a gallon in certain parts of the country. Ergo, the oil price per gallon being close to $100 per barrel.
Which would also affect the stock market.
Well, if the prices increase to buy those same items, the financial capability of any given company needs more dollars to make the same level of profit because their costs went up. Mm-hmm. So, hey, we grew 20% this year in revenue. Yeah, what'd you grow in profit? Oh, we didn't grow in profit. Oh, you mean you had to sell more to get the same profit? Yes, that's right. Why is that? Because my costs went up. So the stock market has different indicators. The indicators on certain trade exchanges has certain companies in its exchange. Their criteria of judging the value of the company is based more on revenue. Other indicators are based more on jobs and job performance and job productivity. Other indicators are based more on price earnings ratios and capitalization rates and EBITDA, earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, amortization. Those factors control net value of the company, which control what you and I are willing to pay for the same stock. So if I bought the stock at $10 less than last week, but my costs have gone up $10, or inflation has gone up $10, yep, I have been misled to think that I've got a value on the stock. I bought it for less, but I needed more money to buy it because the value per stock went down, per share went, the value of the dollar went down, making it a wash, making it less. We think we're gaining, but we're not. We're neutral. Mm-hmm. That's just one example.
Yeah, and we live in a global world market, and there's 1,000 factors that go into this. But Gene's taking the time just to kind of really isolate and specify. We haven't even talked about the Fed. We haven't talked about 1,000 other legislative.
Well, if the government prints more money, that is the Fed. That's the Federal Reserve. That's our money supply.
But the Federal Reserve isn't federal or a reserve. That itself is a whole episode.
That's correct. It's an entity unto itself that is a governing body that tries to independently pass a judgment on what the money flow should be to institutions around the nation called the banking system.
Yep. So there you have it. Hopefully, if you're wondering how so many things can be falling apart in our nation under this administration, yet stock prices are high, Mr. Valentino hopefully just answered that for you. If you want more information to contact Gene directly, you don't need me. First off, you can read online. Try to go to the non-communist sites, right? But go to the real sites, find the truth, use textbooks that aren't all digital where they're being changed how the government wants them to, right? But Gene can be reached at genevalentino.com. There'll be a link in the show notes, but then also use your own mind, use your own brain. 2 + 2 is 4, no matter what anybody tells you. And if you're watching this, that means you have a television or a smartphone. And guess what? That's all math and science. And no matter what the government says, like I love when Pence told Harris, Miss Harris, you're absolutely entitled to your own opinion, but you're not entitled to your own truth.
And one truth, David, in particular. Russia, Venezuela, Cuba, socialistic, Marxistic, or communistic entities, a centralization of control of government resulted in what? A panacea and a sense of comfort in the beginning, which trickled into a society of the have and the have-nots. If we want that kind of lifestyle, stay tuned. It's coming if you believe this sort of economy is something that's doing well. Contact your congressman or U.S. senator and push hard to increase incentives for labor and to increase economic and development incentives for business so they can hire more labor. And get off your seat at home and think that the stimulus check that's making it convenient for you to stay at home is worth staying at home. Get to work for 10% less and you'll be enjoying your lifestyle much longer.
That's it. I'm David Pasqualone. This is Gene Valentino. This episode is over, but stick around for our next episode, how unemployment is back to pre-COVID rates. See you in a minute.